Felicitous greetings, fellow fanatics. Welcome back, one and all. I'm Adam the Fanatic, and today we're taking a look at Tozihua Night, Order of the Alchemists, a retro-inspired Metroidvania by Danny Gray. And be sure to stick around to the end because we have a giveaway to get to. Without any further ado, let's dive in. Just as the first Toziuha Night was a pure nostalgia trip and throwback to the classic-style Castlevania titles, Order of the Alchemists is likewise a throwback to the Igavania style that began with Symphony of the Night. In Order, you'll take on the role of Xandria, traveling through the land surrounding Amarithia, which are beset by monstrous creatures and, worse still, a cult of alchemists led by Johannes, the same man that slaughtered the orphan Xandria's caretaker in front of her when she was a child. Upon hearing of Johannes and his cohorts in the region, she quickly sets out on a mission of revenge. As is typical of Metroidvanias, your moveset in Toziuha Night starts rather limited, but will rapidly grow over time. You start out being able to do a single basic whip attack, jump, and do a backdash, which gives you some much needed invincibility frames. But it won't be long before you expand your abilities, gaining, among other things, the ability to slide, wall jump, double jump, air dash, and to swing from hooks to better increase your mobility, as well as finding a number of ways to improve the use of your whip, as well as plenty of optional attacks that will use mana. Early on, I used a light pillar attack which struck all enemies in a wide range for several seconds. It was costly, but cleared rooms rather quickly and did heavy damage to stronger enemies. As the game progressed, I was eventually able to upgrade a basic shuriken attack to throw 3 at a time, each of which was about as strong as a regular whip attack. This made it very cost effective if I could hit multiple enemies at once with it. In the late game, I actually ended up using it more than Xandria's whip. As you defeat enemies, you'll gain experience and level up, which increases your basic stats. You'll be able to find numerous items scattered throughout the map which will give you one-time permanent boost to these abilities, not unlike in Symphony. You'll also be able to find and purchase consumables. You have your standard gamut of healing and stat recovery items, but one important item to make note of is Carpithia. You can use this item to instantly teleport yourself back to the save point in the central town, or, if you die, you can use 2 of them to keep your progress and respawn back at your last save point. They're relatively cheap in the shop, so make sure you stock up on them early and often. The game is absolutely brutal. It has a lot of backtracking even by Metroidvania standards, so you'll want to make use of it for both purposes. You'll also be able to find and use standard equipment. Xandria has a body, head, legs, and accessory slot. Most of these are pretty standard items, though you'll eventually get the ability to use alchemy to craft equipment which has more utility, such as glasses that let you see destructible walls, a gas mask that lets you move safely through poisoned areas, a ring that doubles the money you find, or a graduation cap that quadruples your experience gain. This game is not gentle in the slightest. Classic Castlevania games were known for being unforgivingly difficult, as most titles of that era were, but those of the Igavania era tended to be much milder. This game will punch you, kick you while you're down, then spit on your grave. I played the game on normal difficulty, and from what I've read, even the so-called easy mode is rather nasty. In my run, it wasn't uncommon to die from normal enemies in 3 to 4 hits. If you got a status ailment, you better cure it fast. Poison, curse, and injury are all extremely powerful and will quickly make the game a nightmare. And if that wasn't enough, when fighting bosses, they have a desperation attack once you deplete their health. When this happens, they're invincible and use a final wave of attacks for a short period of time. It should be noted that as of version 1.0.4.2, this has been locked to hard mode. When I played, it was available on normal, and I faced all of them in my run. The good news is that healing items are pretty cheap. You can purchase up to 9 copies of each. If you find more, you can collect them, but you won't be able to buy them until you use enough to bring you down to 8 or less. Once the late game hit, I did decide to grind quite a bit. I don't think this was the intended way to do things, but I got all the way to level 100, which doesn't even seem to be the max. That did dull the edge a fair bit, though I still had to use a lot of healing items for the last few bosses, and status ailments were still urgent matters. Presentation-wise, the game is pretty strong. The sprite work looks great, animations are fluid, and there's a wide variety of different locales and enemies in the game. The enemies in particular have a unique flair to them, as the designer drew heavily on the folklore of his homeland, Nicaragua, giving the title a unique blend of Aztec and Hispanic-inspired creatures that set it apart from many other games in the genre. I do need to actually play Guacamelee one of these days. For the most part, the art direction is fine, but there does seem to be a very, particular style about the female characters, which is definitely a bit showier than I'd like. It's also obviously quite bloody, and Xandria curses like a sailor, so this is definitely not a title for the younger crowd. Plot-wise, the game isn't particularly complex. It's a story that starts out with Xandria seeking revenge and slowly coming to care about those around her. And now we come to the part of the review where we'll be discussing the plot and puzzles within the game. If you wish to avoid spoilers, please jump ahead to the time credits indicated on screen. Initiate temporal distortion now. Still with me? Then don't say I didn't warn you. There's not too many twists and turns. Xandria comes to care for both the locals around her as well as her allies in the Order that are helping her to take down Johannes. This includes her mentor, Rachel, their leader, Alessa, and the newest member of the Order, Atreyu.
His name is Atreyu.
Eventually, they find that Johannes is intending to seal an artifact of mass destruction known as the Demon Core and unleash it upon the world. Yes, I do mean the nuclear one. The idea here is that there was an ancient one kept hidden away long before it was developed in New Mexico. The Order of Alchemists were unable to safely destroy it, so they kept it sealed away instead. Johannes seeks to use it to cause a mass atrocity necessary to make a pact with a demon which he believes can bring his wife back from the dead. It's all a lie. While she certainly could have worded it more eloquently, at least Xandria has the right idea when it comes to demons. Regardless, she eventually has to fight off not only Johannes, but also Ahalkana himself. The game has 4 different endings, though only one of them lets you confront the final boss. The first one doesn't even let you defeat Johannes, as Xandria dies to a zombie made from the corpse of Isaac, a close friend of hers that was raised in the same orphanage. He was kidnapped by Johannes when he murdered their caretaker. If she wears a childhood keepsake from Isaac, then he regains enough of himself to resist, begging Xandria to end the mockery of life that he's become. After that, you can move on to immediately challenge Johannes. If you do, well, Xandria will get her revenge. She fails to discover and stop the Demon Core, which detonates and kills thousands, if not millions of people. To get the good endings, you have to go through a series of side quests, which includes rescuing cats named after Christopher Columbus's ships, taking pictures of birds that are supposedly reincarnations of Aztec gods, curing the Black Plague, and eventually asking the aid of an Aztec goddess to help drive back Ahalkana. If you do everything except getting the aid of said goddess, then you'll get the good ending, where Xandria has to sacrifice herself to stop the Demon Core from detonating. But to get the true ending with Xandria surviving and the Demon Core being safely disarmed by Atreyu, then you have to do all of the side quests in the game. This unlocks the true final fight, and if you're successful against Ahalkana, you'll achieve victory in this unforgiving quest. Welcome back, Chrononauts. You're just in time to join us for the conclusion. All in all, Order of the Alchemists is a passion project that isn't afraid to wear its inspiration on its sleeves. Longtime fans of the Castlevania series will feel right at home with this one. Just be warned that the difficulty is something else. Even by classic Vania standards, it's pretty hard. That being said, there are ways to mitigate this once you figure out the ins and outs of the game, but it's not one I'd recommend to casual Metroidvania fans. Though if I'm being honest, I did get a good chuckle out of watching the Hollow Knight crowd have to eat crow. Regardless, movement is fluid for the most part. The only thing I didn't like about it was that the wall kick is a little wonky. Even once I got used to it, it didn't feel quite as fluid as it should be. Aside from that, Xandria's moveset makes her extremely agile, and while bosses are unrelenting, it does make it quite satisfying to overcome them in the end. The story is passable, but nothing special, which honestly is par for the course with the genre. The graphics are quite nice overall, with well-detailed sprites. Not on the same level as Symphony, but that's literally in my top 5 best looking games of all time, so I don't expect a game to be. The puzzles required to unlock the true ending do get kind of cryptic, including one that requires you to visit a certain area at a specific time of day. Or you can just adjust your system clock to match the time of day. It feels almost more like Simon's Quest than the Igavanias when it comes to the puzzles. Aside from that, it was an enjoyable adventure, but certainly not one for the faint of heart. The difficulty does feel overtuned, but if you don't mind losing, and I do mean losing a lot, then I definitely recommend it. In conclusion, I find Tozihua Night or the Alchemist to be worthy of a respectable 8.1 out of 10. Before my usual outro, it's important to note that I am giving away a Switch copy of the game. You must be at least 18 years old to enter and living in the Americas, as the Switch eShop is region locked. If you want to enter, be sure to follow the link in the description. Order of the Alchemist is currently available for PC via Steam, GOG, and itch.io, as well as the Nintendo Switch and Android. If you're interested in purchasing it for yourself or learning more, links are included in the description. But what about you? What do you think of Order of the Alchemist? What Iga-inspired Metroidvanias do you enjoy? If you have any questions, remarks, or opposing points of view, leave them in the comments down below. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and ring that bell. If you really enjoy my work, please consider funding my channel on Patreon. Until next time, farewell, fellow fanatics. Thank you again for watching. I have plenty more to share with you if you're interested. You can click up here above my head to subscribe to my channel. You can click over here on my monitor to see the most recent video that I've worked on. Or if you prefer, you can click up here to open this mysterious vault and see what video that the YouTube algorithm has picked just for you.